Take you back. You've got Tanner Horner detained. Sunset Paradise. What's the first question you ask?
Where's she at?
What's the second question you ask?
Is she alive?
Let's talk about Tanner Horner's answer to the first question. Where's she at? What does Tanner Horner tell you when you ask him where's she at?
I can show you.
When it comes to the second question, is she alive? What is his answer to you?
That she wasn't alive when he put her in the truck.
Was or wasn't?
Was not alive.
Now, at that point in time, what do you know about the answer to that question, is she alive?
I knew that. I didn't know if she was alive or not.
You said you'd seen a clip on that day with her alive in the vehicle.
Yes, sir. I believed she was alive based on that clip.
But when the answer to the question is, she wasn't alive when I put her in the truck, what do you know about the answer that Tanner Horner gave you at that time?
I immediately knew that was a lie.
Because you'd seen it on the clip.
Yes, sir.
Now, in the first few moments, are you asking him any questions about what happened?
No, sir.
Why not?
That's not part of the public safety exception. The courts have ruled very clearly it's in furtherance of finding and preserving life, not questions on details of the case. At one point, he tries to say details and I stop him.
What did Tanner Horner volunteer to you without questioning had happened in that case? Had happened in this case?
That she was deceased and that he had transported her to a location with a lot of bamboo.
Let me back up a little bit. What, if anything, did Tanner Horner tell you about what caused her to be deceased?
That he backed into her with his van.
Now, when he says to you that he backed into her with the van, what do you know about that statement as well?
I know that's not factual because based on the two clips that I saw, you can clearly see Mr. Horner putting Athena into the van.
But that's just not true.
No, sir.
So, got Mr. Horner detained, you're on scene, what do you do next?
We get in the vehicle along with investigator Oliver and Ranger Briley, and we in turn have him direct us to the location where he put Athena, or stated he had placed Athena.
Now let me ask you a couple of questions about that. Who's driving?
Investigator Oliver.
Okay. And where are you sitting and where is Mr. Horner sitting?
I'm sitting in the back with Mr. Horner.
Okay. And you said you end up at a location. You say there's some bamboo there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, who is giving you the directions on how to get from where you are to where this bamboo is?
Mr. Horner.
And when he's giving you the directions, what level of detail is he able to provide you to guide you from your location where you are to the bamboo?
Descriptive turn-by-turn instructions on how to get there.
So is he able to tell you what roads to take?
Yes, sir.
Is he able to tell you what turns to make?
Yes, sir.
And he's able to tell you where he placed her body?
Yes, sir.
Now let's talk a little bit about this location. How long does it take you to get from where you detained him until you get to this location where he says he dropped the body off?
I'd have to guess, but approximately 15 minutes.
Didn't take you an hour to drive there?
No, sir.
All right. Is it still in Rice County?
Yes, sir.
So this location, and I want you to describe a little bit, if you will, for the jury, where Tanner Horner took you to this location. When you drive up, what do you see?
We drive up, and on what appears to be the north side of the road is a heavily bambooed area. very, very thick with bamboo, and he indicates that that's where he placed Athena.
All right. When we say bamboo, are we talking like 10 feet tall, 3 feet tall? What are we talking about here?
It was 10 feet tall or more.
Okay. And so you arrive on this location. What has Tanner Horner told you about why this location is important to him? What has he told you?
He stated that somebody might be able to find her.
Okay. And so is he able to give you a description of how far in the bamboo, how close to the road? Is he able to describe the exact point at which he placed her body?
Yes, sir.
And what was that?
He stated at this time he's kind of giving us instruction as I'm walking him, and he's pointing out a location in the bamboo, and he's stating that it was not too much further in there. It just essentially giving me an idea of where she was at in the bamboo.
So once you're there, what does law enforcement do once you get there?
At that time, we'd also been in communication with Canine, additional resources, because I wanted to search that entire area.
Did you do that?
Yes, sir.
And at any point in this, let me back up, strike that. When you get to this location, what are your impressions of this location?
At that time, I felt like I was being lied to again, and that she was not there.
And based on your observations of this location on this road, why is that?
Yeah, just the amount of resources we had, especially with Canine resources and everything. It would, in my prior experience, especially if we're being directed to that area, we usually find, unfortunately, human remains or humans with the Canine very quickly.
Did that happen in this case?
No, sir.
How far off the road did Tanner Horner tell you he dumped her body?
I don't remember an approximate distance.
Okay. Did he tell you that she was way in there or close to the road? What was his statements to you as to distance from the road or anything like that?
His statements were that she was in close proximity to the road, not too far in.
Why did he tell you that that was important?
He stated that was so somebody could find her.
You didn't find her.
No, sir.
So when you're out there searching, are you personally out there searching?
Yes, sir.
And I think you mentioned just a second ago that you had Mr. Horner out of the vehicle and had him pinpointing things to you as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And is that when he's telling you where she was, where he put her, so on and so forth?
Yes, sir.
And again, is all of this still recorded on the body?
Yes, sir.
During this time where you've been taken to this location where all the bamboo is, how many times do you think you asked him if this is really where he dumped her?
Numerous.
And each time in this that you ask him that, what is his response to you?
That's the location.
And what level of confidence was he giving you when you're asking these questions?
High level of confidence.
And in fact, was he able to point at some point to where he had put her?
Yes, sir.
Still no Athena.
No, sir.
How long do you think you stayed out there on the side of the road looking in this bamboo forest?
Us personally, I believe we were out there for about 30, 45 minutes.
You said at some point you ended up back at the Wise County Jail, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Why did we go from the bamboo forest back to the Wise County Jail?
At that time, we exhausted resources as far as checking the home. We checked both vehicles. We checked, keep in mind this is day 3 also that we've been searching. At that time, I felt that he was lying to me, and that I needed to take him to a controlled environment and conduct a custodial interview.
And Was that based on all that you had seen up until that time?
Correct, yes, sir.
And being out there in the bamboo and looking and not finding anything?
Yes, sir.
And the canine not finding anything?
Yes, sir.
And so when you said you're going to do a custodial interview, what do you do differently now when you decide to take him to the Wise County Jail?
At this time, we're exhausted our public safety and our exigent circumstances. So at this time, I would Mirandize him, make him aware of his rights.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right, let's stop for a few minutes. We'll take our morning break at this point. We'll come back at 10:35, 15 minutes, stretch your legs. We'll call you back in just a few minutes. Everyone may be seated. For 27 years I've been watching juries coming in and out, and it's so fun to see who kind of likes to move around and who likes to sit in the same seat. So we are ready to proceed. Mr. Stain.
Thank you, Ron. Ranger Espinoza, we were talking, I think we ended where you had now Mirandized Mr. Horner, and you're heading back to the jail, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And is that also recorded on the body cam that we talked about before?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now, during this time, are you having a conversation with Tanner Horner during this time while he's in the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just to make sure here, when you're coming back to the jail, is it the same parties that are still in the vehicle?
Yes, sir, it is.
And that would be who still in the vehicle at that time?
Be investigator Joseph Oliver and Ranger Danny Briley, myself, and the defendant, Mr. Horner.
Okay. And so during this time, what kinds of questions are you asking him on the ride from this location he took you to back to the jail?
Just asking if he was sure about the location, where Athena was, and just kind of recapping what we had talked about previously.
At some point, did you ask him any questions about the condition of Athena's body when he dumped it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at that time, what did he tell you her condition was when he dumped her body?
I believe at that time he stated that she had some bruises on her body.
Okay. What about whether or not she had any clothes on or not?
I believe he gave a clothing description, but I can't remember any other details other than that.
Let me just ask you, when you asked him, did he tell you she was clothed or not clothed when he dumped her?
Not clothed.
Now, again, all of this is recorded here. Were you there at the scene when her body was recovered?
Yes, sir, I was.
And during this time that you're talking, in between the time that you went out there, you got the body cam, during this initial conversation, if you remember, what was Tanner Horner concerned about or worried about that he expressed to you at that time?
In which interview you speaking?
In the first interview, the one from when you initially detained him all the way back to the jail, what was he communicating he was worried about?
I don't recall.
Now, during this time, what was Tanner Horner's demeanor during this time when you're coming and questioning him at the roadside and coming back to jail? What was his demeanor?
He was pretty composed for the most part. He was articulate and continued to speak to me.
You remember when at the point at which that you make the decision that I think you said you're not able to find her, this isn't working out, what does Tanner Horner offer to you as a possibility that something had happened to her?